All right, class is back. No whiteboard, it's just me tonight. So I want to give a part two of anxiety can be your superpower. And I want to break this down with what I've noticed and with three tips that could possibly help. So first things first, one of the biggest things I notice with students, with people in the business world, from my corporate position, from being around people in general, right? A lot of overthinkers. A lot of super successful people actually are overthinkers. And what I would say is overthinkers are more than anything, it's not that they're anxious or worrying, it's that they're always aware. They're looking at every different possibility, whether it's good or in a lot of cases, most cases, whether it's bad, right? It could be something like they're trying to pick up on a danger or a fear of rejection or an overall fear of being turned down for something. Now, the biggest thing is the brain is always working, right? So one thing I would say is when someone is an overthinker, the best way to look at that is when you're overthinking, you're trying to have a strategy without a system. So when you don't have a system, your mind is going to spiral because the biggest thing is our mind is basically trying to do its job, which is to protect us at all times, right? That's what separates us from every other living creature on the planet, right? We can think of the different outcomes and scenarios. We're not just going based off instinct for survival. We have a brain in place, right? That's what it does. It basically does our job to keep us safe. So with a lot of overthinkers, the biggest thing is you are trying to strategize and you're trying to see what's going to work and how do you avoid all these outcomes, but you don't have actual systems in place, so you spiral. So let's look at three different ways where you can develop a system, and I think this could be super helpful in your mind trying to protect you. So for starters, one thing I would always say is you can do a thought journal. That's where you just write down the thought. What is the thought? I'm worried about this job interview, right? What is the fear behind it? I've had interviews in the past. I wasn't ready. I bombed interviews and I got turned down for the job. It happens to everybody, right? Now, what is the truth versus what is the story? The truth is, this time I'm prepared. I learned from my last mistakes. I've made preparation. The story I might be telling myself is I do bad at job interviews. I do bad under pressure, right? But with preparation, I can avoid that. Now, also, I want to use the second tool, which is decision filters. You want to ask yourself, right? How much of this is fear? How much is facts, right? It's kind of like the first part of it, but it's just when you're making a decision, how much is based on actual research you've done and how much is based on actual facts, right? You feel like you're going to get stood up on a date. What is the fear? You get stood up on a date. What is the facts? Either way, you're going to have a good night. You're going to meet somebody else. There's billions of people on the planet. That's just kind of how it goes, right? The next thing you're going to ask is, what's in my control? I go to a job interview and I might be feeling like, okay, you know what? This interviewer's vibe is kind of off. They're kind of off-putting. They look kind of stoic. They're not really having fun. I can't control their vibe, but I can control mine. So I can be a little bit lighter, or I can say, I'm super nervous. I've never interviewed with this type of position. However, I want to talk about what X, Y, Z. Now, when I put out there, I'm super nervous, they might be their way because they're super nervous too. So I've humanized that moment, right? I took in the power out of it, right? What is one small step I could do forward? I'm nervous about a job interview. I can research the company. I can drill little flashcards with myself. How would I answer this? How would I answer that? What is the worst question they're going to ask, and how do I prep for it? Right? A small step forward. Now, the last thing you can do is you can do what's called mental time boxing. That's step number 3. That's basically giving yourself an amount of time and making a decision. Right? You're going to give yourself a window of time. I'm going to worry about this for 10 minutes. Then I'm making a decision. I'm sending the text message. I'm sending the email. I'm applying for the job. I'm going to walk into the interview and I'm going to do my best, show up and show out and knock it out the park, right? But when I've lingered longer than 10 minutes, I get into this feeling of uncertainty, and no one likes that. No one likes being in a feeling of limbo because that's where, again, our mind will spiral. So you want to make a decision once all is said and done and you want to act on it, right? So that's 3 steps that I think will be super helpful for my overthinkers, my anxious people, the people that are hyper aware, right? They're thinking of different outcomes. So I hope this is one that helps. It is always a pleasure, and free ebook in my bio. There's a free ebook I put together. Failure is only data. Take a look. I hope you enjoy it.